Let's talk about some of the greatest currently playing.
Ooh.
Because we got 2 Giants that were named to the top 100 NFL players list. So literally they ranked 100 players. We had 2. For the record, 32 teams, we should have 3 on average, if not 4. We only had 2. Not very good for us. But we can still congratulate the 2 that made it. And the 2 that made it are the ones you'd expect. And that's Dexter Lawrence, who of course has to be there, and Brian Burns. I will say this, and I love to know where the list is, but Andrew Thomas should have been on this list. I would actually put him ahead of Brian Burns. No disrespect to Burns.
Yep.
I would put him ahead of Brian Burns. I think he's the second best player in this team. I think Burns is probably number 3. But here's what they said overall. Dexter Lawrence, first off, ranked 19. I thought that was a good high number.
Very respectful.
I think that's a respectful number because you got to think that a lot of the top 19, for the most part, are going to be quarterbacks and guys like that. Now, I will say this. ESPN put it behind a paywall to get the whole list, so I don't know the whole list. Anybody who wants to let us know in the comments section and copy and paste the list, feel free. We won't complain.
Please.
But this is the write-up they said about Dexter Lawrence. So there's no other NFL player quite like Dexter Lawrence. He's one of the league's best pass rushers, despite standing 6'4", 340 pounds. While most defensive tackles his size merely take up space, Lawrence finished 7th among interior defenders with 65 pressures in 2023. Lawrence managed that production despite playing most of his snaps in the A-gap, aligned head up over the center, where he was regularly double-teamed at a 71% rate. He already owns the top 2 QB hit seasons 28 and 22 and 21 and 23 amongst players weighing at least 340 pounds. By the way, that's a stat I did not know they even kept, but yeah. So, yeah, that's a good write-up on him. And then you got Brian Burns, ranked number 85. They said the New York Giants added Brian Burns this offseason, giving up a package centered around a second-round draft pick to acquire the pass rusher from the Carolina Panthers. An athletic marvel, Burns was incredibly consistent for the Panthers, posting at least 8 sacks and 18 QB hits in 4 straight years. Big Blue will blitz less often under new defensive coordinator Shane Bowen, so they need Burns to help and come get after opposing quarterbacks. I thought that was kind of interesting. They said that blitz less. Like, first off, again, PFN, Pro Football Network, is who did this list. I said ESPN before by accident. PFN did. Dallas Robinson is the name of the guy who wrote this. But it's a little crazy the way they put this. So they're going to blitz less. For those guys who don't realize what I mean by that, Wink Martindale was very predicated based on blitzing often and putting edge guys into coverage. There's a reason edge rushers did not typically reach double-digit sacks with Wink Martindale. In fact, Kayvon Thibodeau was the only guy to get, I think he's got the record, actually. One of the only guys to ever get 10 sacks at that point with Wink Martindale. They're going to blitz more often with the edge rushers than they did in the past. I think it's a little crazy to sit there and suggest that that Kayvon needs help because blitzing less often. No, the edge rushers are going to blitz. They're going to be edge rushers.
Yeah,
they were edge rushers / corner rushers.
For real.
Less safeties, left corners, left slot corners going out. This is a different defense, guys. This is going to help Kayvon and it's going to help Brian Burns. I really think that. And by extension, it's going to help Dexter Lawrence because he's going to have closer help. Not going to be safeties coming down to help. Yeah. It's going to be edge rushers doing what they're supposed to do. Rush the edge. It's almost like what they do is in the name or something. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
It's nuts.
So, but yeah, like I said, I do think Andrew Thomas deserved on this list. I think, Bobby Okereke, while it wasn't necessarily on this list, should have been a guy probably in the top 110, 115 kind of guy.
Yeah, he right there teetering that line.
But Andrew Thomas should have been here. You got one of the best left tackles in all of football that plays on a line that just, let's be honest, sucks.
I mean, we talked about it earlier.
He's literally played next to a pile of poop in a uniform for how long? Like, he's had guys coming off the streets to help him out. He's had guys that just injured left and right coming next to help him.
He played next to that Triceratops in the first Jurassic Park movie that was just laying there like poison.
with the doctor's glove shoved up his butt. Like,
Yeah. And Grant just gonna.
it's like a ride for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, Andrew Thomas should have been on this list, but yeah, others I got no problem with. Like I said, I like Brian Burns. I think he's a top 100 guy. I just don't think he's a top 10 pass rusher like we talked about earlier in the show, but he's definitely a top 100 guy. Bobby Okereke, again, probably should have been close to this list if he didn't make it. I would have loved to see the whole thing and see what they said. But you know, unfortunately, they're not going to give you past the 100 to know where Bobby Okereke would have landed. But I'd be kind of curious. He's got to be close. He's got to be close.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.